Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Welcome everyone to today's session on how to overcome anger.
Om
Om
Jnanatimirandhasya
Jnanatirandhasya
Jnananjana
Jnananjana
Shalakaya
Chakshurum
Chakshurum
Militam Yena
Militam
Tasmai
Tasmai
Shri
Shri
Gurave
Gurave
Namaha
Namaha
Nama
Namo
Om
Om
Vishnu
Vishnu
Padaya
Padaya
Krishna
Krishna
Prishtaya
Prishtaya
Bhutale
Bhutale
Srimate
Srimate
Bhakti
Bhakti
Vedanta
Vedanta
Swami
Swami
Niti
Nitinamine
Namine
Namaste
Namaste Saraswate
Saraswate
Deve
Deve
Gauravani
Gauravani
Pracharine
Pracharine
Nirvishesha
Nirvishesha
Shunyavadi
Paschatya
Paschatya Deshatarine
Deshatarine
Jaya
Jai
Shri
Shri Krishna
Krishna
Chaitanya
Chaitanya Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita
Gadadhara
Gadadhara
Shrivasadi
Shrivasadi
Gaura
Gaura
Bhakta
Bhakta Vrinda
Vrinda
Hare
Hare
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna
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 Krishna Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Hare Hare
Hare Hare
Hare
Rama
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama
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 Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Hare Krishna, we'd like to welcome all of the wonderful devotees who have joined us over Facebook Live, over YouTube Live, and dear devotees who have joined us over Zoom. We welcome each and every one of you to this day two, where we are discussing the six enemies of the mind. Yesterday we discussed lust. Today we will discuss anger, how to overcome anger. So Krishna says in the Srimad Bhagavad Gita,
Trividham
Narakasyedam
narakasyetam
dwaram
dwaram
nashanamaatmanaha
nashanamaatmanaha
kama
kama krodhastatha
krodhastatha
lobhas
lobhas
tasmad
tasmadetattrayam
etatrayam
tyajet.
tyajet. There are three gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give these up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul.
So let us see some examples that the second gateway to hell, as is told by Krishna, which is anger, how it can destroy everything, and how can we actually overcome anger. Of course, we have the greatest example of the most angry sage, that is Durvasa Muni. There are many, many, many pastimes of Durvasa Muni. And we thought that it would be appropriate to actually discuss about Dhruva Maharaj. The entire reason why Dhruva Maharaj achieved perfection at that young age of 5 was because he was driven by anger. Let's listen to this pastime.
Once upon a time, there was a king named Uttanapada who was patting his son of Suruchi, Uttama, placing him on his lap. And Dhruva Maharaj, who was also the step brother of Uttama, was also trying to get on the king's lap, but the king did not very much welcome him. It was very apparent that the king was subtly trying to avoid Dhruva. Now, the child, Dhruva Maharaj, he was trying to get on the lap of his father. The king was equally affectionate toward both of his sons, Uttama and Dhruva. So he had a natural inclination to take Dhruva as well as Uttama on his lap. But because of his favoritism towards the queen Suruchi, he could not welcome Dhruva Maharaj externally despite his internal feelings. Queen Suruchi then told Dhruva Maharaj, because this child, Dhruva Maharaj, was shocked. Why is my father externally reacting that way? I know he loves me. Why is he doing this? And Queen Suruchi told, on behalf of King Uttanapad, my dear child, you do not deserve to sit on the throne or the lap of the king. Surely you are also the son of the king, but because you did not take birth from my womb, you are not qualified at all to sit on your father's lap. And Queen Suruchi was very proudly then informed Dhruva Maharaj that to be the king's son was not the qualification for sitting on the lap or throne of the king. Rather, this privilege was dependent on one's having taken birth from her womb. In fact, Suruchi was so envious of Dhruva Maharaj that she indirectly asked him to change his body. According to her, first of all, he had to die and then take his next body in her womb. And only then would it be possible for Dhruva Maharaj to ascend to the throne of his father. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam, Maitreya Uvacha Matu Sapnya Sadurukti Vidha Swasan Srusha Dandahato Yathahi Hitva Mishantam Pitaram Sannavacham Jagama Matu Parudan Sakasham. Sage Maitreya says in Srimad Bhagavatam, my dear Vidura, just like a snake, when it is struck by a stick, breathes very heavily. Dhruva Maharaj, having been struck and stung by the strong words of his stepmother, began to breathe very heavily because of great anger. When he saw that his father was silent, did not protest, he immediately left the palace and went naturally to his mother, Suniti.
Now let's remember that Dhruva Maharaj is a mere child of just 5 years. He's just a 5-year-old boy. So when Dhruva Maharaj, when he reached his mother Suniti, his lips were still trembling with anger and he was crying very grievously. Whenever we hear about this lips trembling with anger, we remember this beautiful pastime of Srila Prabhupada. One time Srila Prabhupada was in Australia, and then Srila Prabhupada was delivering this lecture about Krishna being the Supreme Personality of Godhead to a group of and there was some students, young students in the assembly. And then Srila Prabhupada, after finishing the class, Srila Prabhupada said, any questions? And then there was this young man who shot up his hand and said, yes, I have a question. Then Srila Prabhupada said, yes. He said, well, you said that Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. I choose to be the all-powerful Supreme Personality of Godhead. I choose to be the all-powerful God. And Srila Prabhupada said, well, my God is powerful all the time. And then this boy said, well, I choose to be the all-powerful God. And when this boy was saying like this, it is said that Srila Prabhupada's, the bottom lip was quivering with anger. Srila Prabhupada got so angry. Imagine someone telling that he is God. And Srila Prabhupada
To
said,
a pure devotee.
to a pure devotee. So then Srila Prabhupada said, well, I choose to kick on your face with my shoes. Can you stop me? And then this boy said, well, give me some time. And Srila Prabhupada said, well, my God is powerful all the time. And then immediately from this ferocious lion being so angry, Srila Prabhupada immediately turned and became a soft, beautiful rose. And Srila Prabhupada said, please don't waste your time in all this nonsense. Try to be godly. Don't try to be God. So this is the nature of Srila Prabhupada, that he can express his anger, but at the same time, Srila Prabhupada's compassion is so great that he can turn into this beautiful, delicate rose and can completely change the heart of anybody. So when Queen Suniti saw that little Dhruva, her 5-year-old son, was just so angry, she immediately took him to her lap and said, Dhruva Maharaj was so angry, he could not even respond, he could not even speak. And some of the servants of the palace informed Suniti that what happened in the courtroom, that what Shuruchi, the stepmother, the younger queen, spoke. And Suniti, Mother Suniti, also became very disturbed. And Dhruva Maharaj said, what is my fault? Why can't I sit on the throne of my father? And Mother Suniti just said, only the Supreme Lord can help you, my dear boy. And then Dhruva said, oh, so where will I find the Supreme Lord? Tell me. And then Suniti said, well, I've heard that he's in the forest. Anyone who goes into the dense forest can find him. So immediately, 5-year-old little Prince Dhruva, he, with a great determination, full of anger, he left the palace and he encountered Narad Muni, his spiritual master, because Narad Muni heard that this little boy is going out into the forest. And Narad Muni came and tested his determination. And when he saw that Dhruva was undeterred, Dhruva Maharaj was then given a mantra. It is said that Prince Dhruva was initiated by Narad Muni into chanting the hymn composed of 18 letters, which is
Om
Om Namo
Namo Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya.
And as a result of that, Lord Vasudeva himself awarded the Prince Dhruva a specific planet which is above the 7 stars. It is the highest planet. And after achieving this success, after meeting the Lord face to face, yet Dhruva Maharaj was not satisfied. Why? Why was Dhruva Maharaj not satisfied? It is explained in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita in Madhya Leela chapter 22, text 42.
Sthanabhilashita
Sthanabhilashita
tapasi
tapasi
sthitoham
sthitoham
Stvam
Tvam
praptavan
praptavandeva
deva munindra
munindra
guhyam
guhyam
Kacham
Kacham
vichanvanam
vichanvanam
api
api
divyaratnam
Swamin
Swamin
kritarthosmi
kritarthosmi
varam
varam nayache.
nayache.
When Dhruva Maharaj was being blessed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Vishnu, Dhruva Maharaj spontaneously started pouring out these verses. And this verse meant, oh my Lord, because I was seeking an opulent material position, I was performing severe types of penance and austerities. But now that I've gotten you, who are so difficult even to achieve by great demigods and saintly persons and kings, now I feel as if I was searching for a piece of glass, broken piece of glass. Instead, I have found the most valuable jewel. Therefore, I am satisfied that I do not wish to ask any benediction from you. So here he's saying, because of my vengeance, because of my anger, I was actually blinded by what is it that I should search for. I was searching for broken pieces of glass, but I was asking the right person. Even though he was angry, he worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then he realized this anger was of no use. This particular vengeance is of no use, especially when we taste the nectar of the darshan of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He gave up all his anger and he embraced the devotional service of the Lord.
Harival. So another pastime appears in the Srimad Bhagavatam in connection to Balaram Dauji Maharaj. It is said that one of Sri Krishna's most celebrated sons is Samba, and he had the desire to marry Lakshmana, who is not Ramachandra's brother, but one of the daughters of Duryodhana. Even her name was Lakshmana. And Lakshmana also loved him. So Samba, in a desperate act, he actually went to Hastinapur, and with the permission of Lakshmana, he abducted Lakshmana. And when the elders of the Kuru dynasty, they saw, all Pitama, Bhishma, Duryodhana, everyone, they actually were very, very angry that how could Samba take away their, the daughter of their dynasty. So they were so furious. And then they actually, Duryodhana, they captured both Samba and Lakshmana. They imprisoned both of them. And Balabhadraji, Dauji Maharaj, he heard the news reached Dwarka, and Balaram, without any army, he came all alone from Dwarka, without any chariot, just carrying his plow. That, it is said that Balaramji's plow is energized with incantations, or it is abhimantrit, it is magical, it is mystical. And when he reached Hastinapur, everyone, all the seniors of the Kuru dynasty, Bhishma, Pitama, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, Dhritarashtra, and Duryodhan also, they, came out to, try and fight with Balaramji. And they disagreed to actually release Samba and Lakshmana.
But Baldauji, now he said, okay, you disagree? Fine. He went outside the city, and on the west wall, he fixed his plow and began dragging the entire city of Hastinapur into Yamuna along with him.
Very
And
good.
everyone was shocked. The whole Kuru Sabha, they felt powerless against Balramji. And Duryodhana immediately fell on Baldev's lotus feet and begged for forgiveness, because Duryodhana was his disciple. He had learnt, or Baldauji had taught the art of using Gada to Duryodhana. And so Duryodhana immediately asked for forgiveness, and Balaram was pacified. Otherwise, Balaramji, out of his transcendental anger, would have drowned the entire Hastinapur with his anger. So, this is transcendental anger. Where else do we see a display of transcendental anger? The greatest display of transcendental anger is by Lord Nrsimhadev. The demigods, the devatas, they were rejoicing when the Lord appeared in his half man, half lion, divine form, and in great anger, he ripped apart Hiranyakashipu. But even after killing Hiranyakashipu, the Lord was still angry, so much so that he was taking out all of the organs and garlanding himself. And not just the devatas, not just the demigods, but the consort of the Lord, Srimati Lakshmi Devi, was afraid of approaching him. But eventually, the Lord's anger was pacified by the fearless little Prahlad.
Hari Hari. So there's another description in the Srimad Bhagavatam about the display of anger. This is from the Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, seventh chapter, seventh verse. It is said that great stalwarts like Lord Shiva can, by their wrathful glances, overcome lust and vanquish. Yet they cannot be freed from the overwhelming effects of their own wrath. Such wrath can never enter into the heart of the Supreme Lord, who is above all of this. So once, Bhrigu Muni and all the sages of the world, they actually came together and they wanted to place a test, that who amongst the Trinity, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, who are the directors of passion, goodness, and ignorance, who is the most powerful, the most benevolent personality. So Bhrigu Muni actually devised a plan, and he first went to Lord Brahma.
Bhrigu Muni is the son of Brahma. And as a son should show respect to their father, he approached before Brahma, but did not show him proper respect mentally. Just in his mind, he did not pay obeisances. And Brahma became very angry. He was about to kill Bhrigu Muni, that how dare you transgress the etiquette. But then he realized, oh, he's my son. So he excused Bhrigu Muni. And then Bhrigu Muni understood, well, Brahma did not display the quality of goodness. He could not control his anger. So he said, okay, let me go to Lord Shiva, who is the brother of Bhrigu Muni, because Shambhu is the one who, Rudra, comes from the in between the eyebrows of Brahma. So Bhrigu Muni and Lord Shiva, both of their origins and father is Brahma.
So then, as soon as Bhrigu Muni came to Kailash, Lord Shiva got up with great joy and went to embrace Bhrigu Muni. But Bhrigu Muni immediately said, "Stay away, stay away. You don't even take proper bath. Don't touch me, don't touch me." And Lord Shiva became so angry that he took his trident and he was about to attack Bhrigu Muni. But immediately Parvati Devi, the blessed consort of Lord Shiva, said that no, 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 please don't take his life. He's your brother. And then Lord Shiva, was pacified. Then Bhrigu Muni said that no, even Lord Shiva, he is also, reacting and he reacted with Lord Shiva, with Brahma. He, made offense through his mind, mentally. Through Lord Shiva, he did it through his words. And let's see what he did through his action. So Bhrigu Muni then went to Vaikuntha, and he went and he saw that Lord Vishnu was lying down on the bed of Anantashesh, and Bhrigu Muni got angry, and then he just went and he kicked at the chest of Lord Vishnu. And immediately Lord Vishnu got up from his seat and he begged forgiveness from Bhrigu Muni, and that said that, "Oh my dear Bhrigu Muni, you have come to my abode, and what, I could not even receive you properly. You placed your soft lotus like feet upon my rock hard chest. I hope your feet is not hurt." So seeing this response of Lord Vishnu, Bhrigu Muni concluded that this is Shuddha Sattva of Lord Vishnu.
Because Brahma was insulted mentally, Lord Shiva was insulted verbally, and Vishnu was insulted physically. And even then, he was not concerned about himself, he was concerned about Bhrigu Muni himself. So, all the goodness in the material world is tinged generally with passion and ignorance. Whereas the goodness that is there in Vishnu, in the transcendental goodness, is Shuddha Sattva, pure mode of goodness.
Thus, the conclusion was, of course, that Lord Vishnu is indeed the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is transcendental, completely transcendental to these modes of mundane world. So it is said, Srila Prabhupada says that defending the Vaishnava and the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna is the best use of anger. Sometimes, someone may become antagonistic or even dangerous towards the Lord and his servants. Yet it is not that a devotee, becomes like a dead stone or makes no responses to such a situation. Out of his pure love for the Lord, he will sometimes even sacrifice his life to protect the deity or even other devotees. So Srila Prabhupada writes in this regard that one should not any time blaspheme, tolerate any kind of blasphemy or insult against Lord Vishnu or his devotees. And generally, a devotee is very humble, very meek, and he is, he unnecessarily does not pick up any quarrel with anybody, nor does he envy anyone. However, a pure devotee becomes immediately fiery, Srila Prabhupada says. He becomes very fiery with anger when he sees that Lord Vishnu or his devotees are insulted. This is actually the duty of a devotee, that although a devotee maintains gentle attitude, it is not proper to remain silent when the devotees of the Lord or the Lord himself is blasphemed.
On the other hand, one who is an advancing devotee, they never become angry when they themselves are taunted or abused or even cursed to die. But they are situated on the transcendental platform which sees all reversals as blessings and all living entities as the instruments of the Lord. And therefore, he is not just able to tolerate, but even able to forgive his tormentors because of being on that transcendental platform.
So, what is the formula? The formula is very simple. When anything untoward happens towards a devotee
Forgive.
forgives and forgets. But when it happens to another devotee or the Lord, a devotee never keeps quiet. So, in this regard, in the Prema Bhakti Chandrika, Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he says,
Krishna seva kamarpane
Kamarpane
krodha
Bhaktadveshi
Bhaktadveshi
Jane
jane Lobha
Lobha sadhu
sadhu sange
sange harikatha
harikatha Mohaishta
Mohaishta
labha
labhabine
bine Mada
Mada
Krishna
Krishna
guna
gunagane
gane Nijukta
Nijukta koriba
koriba jatha
Jatha
tatha.
Tatha.
He's saying Krodha Bhakta Dveshi Jane, which means I will direct my anger towards those who are envious towards devotees. And that is the best way to utilize one's anger, not for oneself, not for one's selfish reasons, rather becoming selfless and using the anger in the service of Krishna and his dear
Hari
devotees.
Hari.
Anger, it is said, can be transformed by practicing tolerance and by practicing forgiveness. For small, small things, if we can start forgiving, we'll build the strength of forgiveness for bigger offenses that may be committed. And if we forgive, those one who forgives is forgiven by the Lord as well for the offenses that we may have done to others and to the Lord in so many ways. So if we have a grudge even against one person in this world or in any world in this creation, we will not be able to go back home, back to Godhead. It is very difficult. It requires a lot of mercy. So, therefore, the perfect example that we can take inspiration for this is Sri Hanumanji. When insults were like hurled towards him by the soldiers of Ravana to Hanumanji while he was bound, Hanumanji just tolerated. He didn't do anything. He did not retaliate. He did not react. But as soon as insulting words were spoken by Ravana in regards to Lord Ramachandra, Sri Hanumanji burnt down the entire Lanka in his transcendental anger.
So we also see that the Vrajavadhus, the gopis of Sri Vrindavan Dham, they are an outstanding example of utilizing everything in Krishna's service. And that is the reason why Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu has taught us Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayur Dasa 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 Anudasa. So in the Sri Gopi Geet from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto, chapter 31, in this regard about anger, about transcendental anger, the gopis, they are singing. Pati
Pati
sutanvaya
Sutanvaya
bhratri bandhava
Bhratribandhava
ati
Ativilanghyate
vilanghyate
Antyachutata
anchuta
Gatividastavo
Gita
Gitamohita
Mohita
Kitavayoshita
Kitavayoshita
Kastya
Kastyajenishi.
Dear Achyuta, you know very well why we have come here. Who but a cheater like you would abandon young women who come to see him in the middle of the night, enchanted by the loud song of his flute? Just to see you, we have completely rejected our husbands, our children, ancestors, brothers, and other relatives.
Hari Hari. So we see in this regard how the gopis, out of their transcendental anger, they are actually chastising the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the love of the gopis. So, with this, we conclude today's session and we pray for all of the wonderful Vaishnavas, all the devotees, all the people who are in need of prayers, our heartfelt prayers for each and every one of you. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Prabhu
Prabhu
Nityananda,
Nityananda
Shri
Shri
Advaita
Advaita Gadadhara
Gadadhara, Shrivasadi
Shrivasadi
Gaura
Gaura
Bhakta
Bhakta Vrinda
Vrinda. Hare
Hare Krishna
Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
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 Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
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 Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Rama
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 Rama,
Rama
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare. Hare Krishna. We thank you all very, very much. So please, if you have any questions, please post them and we will definitely try to answer your questions. And we thank you all again for joining us.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.